What's up? This is Patrick of Radicards.com, and in this video we're going to be talking about the June 18th and 19th, 2022 Dallas Card Show. Now this thing started yesterday, so tonight's the 18th, but they opened it up on Friday night, the 17th, from like 5 to 8. I didn't go because it's all the way in Arlington. I didn't want to go back and forth and back again today. Just figured I'd just go today. I mean, the drawback to doing that is like I miss out on certain deals, but it's far. Arlington is far. We're right next to the Dallas Cowboys Stadium. It's like at the Esports Convention Center or whatever. We were there in April at a show. The Dallas Card Show was there in April. Similar things, same venue, similar like 2-day. Really fun. So I got there a little late today. I ended up getting there and arriving at 12:30, staying till about 5:30 right in there. And so I had a good 5 hours to spend. And when I get there, I start serpentining, and there's this gentleman who has a shop in Louisville, and he has just great stuff. Just really good stuff. So I stayed there for at least 2 hours, going through and talking and stuff, and I picked up a few things. We're just gonna be talking about a few specific cards. I did get quite a few great pieces at this show, but the cards we'll be talking about very specific pieces that I kind of grabbed throughout. By the time 5 o'clock rolled around, I hadn't really made it all the way to the back, but you know, I'm not gonna go back tomorrow. I just typically, these shows, if they're that far away, I just go for the one day and then I'm good. So I try to cover as much surface as I can in that one day. So let's jump right into it here. I picked up at that gentleman's booth, among other things, this was one of them. This is the 1994 Ultra on-base leaders. This is the Barry Bonds. I really like these cards a lot. I think they're fantastic looking. They've got the etched, it's like an etched foil. It's really nice. And back in the day, you know, I opened a lot of 94 Ultra, never pulled one of these. And they're just great looking cards. Very classic 94 theme though. When I look at these, it just takes me right back to that time frame. 94 was a great year for collecting, with the Jordan coming into the baseball. Obviously he was in Birmingham White Sox, the minor league, but he still showed up on licensed cardboard, which was just so cool. Michael Jordan didn't make it into Fleer Ultra from 94 though. He was in Collector's Choice and some Upper Deck stuff. It's mostly Upper Deck products that he was in. Actually, come to think of it, I think that's all he was in because he had the contract with Upper Deck at the time. In any case, this is just such a cool thing. 94 Ultra on-base leaders is such a great set. It's 12 cards. And I see these occasionally when I'm out and about. They're not readily available, but this set is 28 years old now. It's not new anymore. It's very old. So you have it. Got that. Really happy to get that. Picked up, this was $1. This was a great find too. This was 1998 Team Pinnacle, Cal Ripken Jr. This is one of those bankruptcy Pinnacle releases. Like, it was never officially released. When I saw this, I was like, of course I'll get it. I love Ripken, and it's from the bankruptcy issues. $1 can't beat the price, so grab that. Really happy to get that. It's a really nice item to have. I love these. They're fantastic. No card number. Just looking at that now. I just think these are so cool. Yeah, glad to get this. This is a nice one to get, and for $1, you can't. I can't beat that price. There's just no way to beat it. Love them. Really basic design. Good stuff. This one, I picked up one of these at the 2015 National. This is the 1988 Gators, Emmitt Smith, Florida Gators. So I'm a big Emmitt Smith fan. I've always liked the Cowboys, just so coincidentally ended up in Texas. He and Deion Sanders and Troy Aikman, just awesome players. And they all played for the Cowboys around the same time. Now I have 2 of these. I'll probably have them slabbed just to get them in a case. This was also released in conjunction with Burger King, so this is kind of a cool partnership release. Great card. Love this card. I love the image of Emmitt Smith. He's such a great running back, gosh. When I saw this, I was like, I'm going to see if I can get that. Because even though I already have one, the seller was saying that he had this for 2 shows and it hadn't been purchased, and he was surprised because he was in Dallas, and he played for the Cowboys for most of his career. Such an awesome piece. I was really glad to get another one of these. I don't see these very often. These are rare. I don't think they're as rare as, say, like the 87 McDag Auburn Tigers Frank Thomas. That's like his official first card ever. But they're pretty rare. And so I just don't see them. I think the last one I saw I bought, that was in 2015. Then we have this one. So cool. Really glad to get this. This is just such a great piece. Glad to get that. This one was given to me by my buddy Steven. He walks up to me as I'm going through the gentleman's booth in the front, and he just gives this to me. Such a rad item. 2002 Finest. X-Fractor. Todd Helton. Serial number to 99. This is a CSG 10. Gem Mint. These cards are great. Thank you, Steven. I appreciate that, buddy. You're a really good friend. I'm glad I know you. I'm really happy that he thought about me for this card because I've been cherry picking Todd Helton stuff lately. I think Todd Helton's fantastic, and if you look at his career statistics, you'll realize his on-base percentage, his batting average, his slugging percentage, and his on-base plus slugging are all incredibly high. I've always liked Todd Helton. I can remember in '97 getting his cards, his USA card, and that was like a big card. It was like $5 back then. It was kind of a bigger deal. That's when I found out about Helton, kind of like really discovering Todd Helton. Was this at around the same time I was discovering Travis Lee, and discovering the popularity of Ben Grieve, although I had already known about Ben Grieve because he had showed up in some products in '95, and even as far back as '94, but I didn't really pick up on the '94 traded issue until later. It's funny, those traded sets, you don't pick up on those oftentimes until you're into the hobby for a while. Even like Tiffany's were not chronicled really in certain publications for a while. I had the '89 Topps Tiffany Boggs, right? But I was like, what is this whiteback glossy Boggs? It's such a peculiar version of this card. I still have it. And this is like, gosh, maybe the early '90s I had gotten this card. And it wasn't in anything. I couldn't find out what it was from. Years later, I discovered it was a Tiffany. Such a rad item. But when I look back on Helton stuff and Grieve and those guys, and they showed up in some of these traded sets, just takes me back to a different time. So I just want to thank Steven for coming up to me and giving me this card. He actually bought this, and he had it slabbed, and it came back in Gem Mint 10. It was just such a cool thing. He's such a good dude. I'm glad to know you, Steven, so thank you so much, buddy. So this is cool. This is the 2002 Finest X-Fractor, Todd Helton, serial number to 99. So there you have it. Those are my 4 big keys from this show. It was a good 5 hours. Like, I mean, there are other things I got. There was like a low-grade 94 Upper Deck Electric Diamond A-Rod rookie. It's like BGS 5. Picked that up for $5. An 87 Topps Tiffany Rafael Palmeiro rookie. Picked that up for sub 4. I just stuff I just like would, when I go through, I kind of just throw things down. And at the end I might just parse out like, well, I don't really want these. I mean, I'm glad I put them out, but I'm not married to getting those. Let's really thin it out. I'm so picky. And I like that about the way I collect, because I know exactly what I buy, and I'm not stuck buying a bunch of just whatever. It's kind of akin to like the guy who gets out of college and he takes whatever job he can find, and after 20 years, you don't know what he does well because he's had so many different jobs. So you don't really know how to place him. It's like a hard thing to find out like where he fits. That's difficult. I think that creates problems. But if you have, it's kind of like collecting. If you buy just kind of whatever, you don't really know. And you look at this guy's collection, you don't really know what he really likes because it's just a hodgepodge of stuff. And I realize that there are times when I feel certain cards more than others. Like maybe I'm feeling the 89 Donruss Gary Sheffield today, and I'll get a couple of those. Or maybe I want to grab a few of this doubles Frank Thomas card or whatever, and I'll grab a few of those. that's the type of thing typically I'd trend at the National. Like one National, I picked up a bunch of Sparky Lyles of the 69 tops. I must have gotten like, I don't know, 2 pages worth of that card. And I remember there were like registry differences where he was like, it looks like one of them looked like he was looking up, and the other one looked like he was looking forward, another one looking like he was kind of looking down because the registry was kind of like messed up. That must have been I think that was the 2017 National. That was when I bought a lot of those. I'm trying to think of like the other bigger shows, what I was buying. One show I bought a bunch of 87 Topps bonds because I just had an opportunity to get a bunch of them. I've passed on certain deals in the past. I remember there was like at the National, I'll pull out a brick of stuff and I'll hand it up like, how much were these? And you're like, oh, 125. Like, okay, I'll come back. And I don't come back. And I'm like, well, now I can't get it because it's, so far in the background. But I think in hindsight, I've done pretty well with committing to a certain category of type of cards, and I'm still doing that now. I haven't deviated outside of that. I do cherry pick some like Panini issues just because I think they do a really good job with their cards, and they look awesome, sparkly finish. I mean, it's kind of like, I get that they're trying to bring back kind of like the 90s thing. You can't replicate that though. Like that's done. The guys who wanted those cards are now in their 30s and 40s and can afford them, which is why they're all going after them, and why those cards are worth so much now is because there's so many people buying them now. I don't know if that's going to be like that for cards coming out now in 20 years, 15, 20 years. I don't think so. The reason why I say that is because when I go to shows, I see very few kids, very few. We're talking like 1 in every 25 people, there might be 1 kid. And the ratio might even be less than that. And so a lot of the kids are buying Pokemon or something else. So when I was younger, we were all in the cards. And, we were like, oh man, it'd be so cool to get a 90 Lee Frank Thomas rookie or an 89 Upper Deck Griffey. Those were like the cards. Now it's like the cards people want are still huge. Like the 2001 Bowman Chrome Auto Pujols rookie is a huge card. The Retrofractor Ichiro obviously has come up in massive value over the last 3 years. Just cards like that have become bigger. Tatis rookies are kind of big right now, I guess. Vlad Jr. is still big. It's like the wave of the like current run of rookies. To me, I always prefer to buy like proven players. So I don't prospect. I like the concept of it. I appreciate its place in the hobby, but I don't do that. It's too high risk. So the stuff I end up getting is just the normal. I mean, I buy cards of players who are not going to be Hall of Famers just because I like the cards. So like, I don't buy players, I buy cards, but sometimes I buy players. Like Helton I like, so I buy his stuff. I like Ripken, I buy his stuff. I like Thomas, depending on what it is, because I have so much, I buy his stuff. I can't get it all, so I try to be picky about what types of cards of these guys I get, because otherwise I'd spend all my money in the first booth that I see at these shows. Like, so I have to be kind of pick and choose. And I because of that, I end up with really nice things, but smaller stock of it. So every time I look through my collection, I'm like, awesome, 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 awesome. I always know that. And then, so I always know what I collect. And if somebody else were to see my collection that's not archived on the museum, they would know instantly what I buy. And actually, when I go to these shows, people already know. I've built up a reputation as like the guy who buys these kinds of things. So people just kind of walk up to me and hand me things like, or hey, I've got some stuff for you, come over to my booth. So it's really good for branding if you know exactly what you collect, and other people can learn that, and it can work for you. It can be advantageous for your collecting pursuits, and people will know what you buy and what you collect. So I always encourage people to identify what they like as quickly and as early on as possible, and then parlay that into like your network. Like, hey, these are the things I'm looking for, or hey, these are things I'm buying. Hey, what do you collect? Hey, I collect Frank Thomas, but I also dabble in these other areas. So it's kind of a cool thing to like let your network know what you buy. And you might like ask around just to like see. The other benefit to that too is like it makes it really easy for Christmas gifts and birthdays. Like what do I want to get them? You already know. It's like, oh, he collects A-Rod, so get him an A-Rod card. Or oh, he collects, Bo Jackson, get him a Bo Jackson card. It's always like an easy in for those kinds of things. So I always like to know what people collect, but also if they're like a close friend of mine. But when people ask me, I'll just tell them outright. Also, too, lesson of the day, if you're putting thick relic cards in top loaders that are even thicker and they're falling out, put a piece of painter's tape over the top just for your own protection to make sure the card's not falling every which way when you open up a box or whatever. I saw a guy open a box today and he wanted to show me a card, and he pulled the top off the box and there was a card in a top loader upside down falling out of the box at an angle so that like corner was hitting the ground, hitting the top of the countertop of the card. And he was like, oh, that's the card I want to show you. I was like, man, like, just keep like some painter's tape on you for those situations where like your cards aren't falling out every which way when you're carrying things around at shows, just to protect your own assets. If nothing else, if they stay in your collection, just to protect them for your own, because we not all of us can carry around every perfect size top loader when we need them. So I understand why these situations exist. Like it's normal. You have a top loader, it's too thick. You need something to protect a thick relic card. I understand that's the thing, but just for the sake of keeping the card intact and not harmed, just put a little piece of tape over the top. Any tape will do, just to keep the top loader closed. A lot of people do painter's tape. I like it too, but at the end of the day, I'm still cutting it with a razor, and it doesn't matter. Just who cares? Just a little tip of the day there for you. In any case, I hope you enjoyed that 4 cards I got at this particular show. Let me know what you think. Which one of these cards kind of resonated with you? Which one was your favorite? Did you like them, or one of them specifically? Thanks again, Steven, for the Todd Helton. Really appreciate that, buddy. And thank you for tuning into Radicards TV on Radicards.com. I'm your host, Patrick Reno, and until next time, enjoy collecting.
If you like this content, please subscribe. Thank you. Enjoy collecting.